This place is gnarly, dude.
I know, it's like a war zone out here. We got graves everywhere.
They gonna discharge me soon, though?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you should be good to go anytime soon. I don't know why
I'm negative! I'm negative!
I know, dude. I don't know why they're keeping you so long. It's ridiculous.
I know, dude. It's fucking bad. Fucking everybody's got MGD these days.
Yeah, I know. Look at the numbers on the graph over there. 3,000 new cases today.
And counting.
It's crazy.
Oh, I'm so happy you made such a good recovery.
Me too. It's really miraculous, DG.
Thank you. Thank you. Dude, I'm Beverly. Gotta say from the bottom of my goat heart, I'm sorry. Sorry to you too, Clark.
It's okay.
Sorry for attacking you guys. Disease got in my brain and my ass.
Hey, I can understand that sometimes when you are sick, you do things you don't mean, and I know you didn't mean it.
When I was sick, I pissed my pants and I didn't tell anybody. So,
Is that what that smell was?
well, it still is. I never changed them.
Why are you sitting and soaking in it when you could?
Well, there's no
rash?
washer and dryer units here. There's no clothes for me.
Well, I mean, I guess we could start going nude or like, with loincloths or something.
Humans don't go nude here. We don't like that. No.
Well, the only other human here is Dr. Xavier.
Well, I mean, Dr. Xavier doesn't go nude. He's got scrubs on.
But what if he decided, if we got Dr. Xavier to go nude, would you allow us to go nude?
You want a nude doctor to shove things up my ass? What kind of porn are you watching, dude?
No, it's not about that, DG. I don't know. I just...
You want to see a nude doctor put a specimen up my ass and fuck me?
No, I don't want to see that. It's just Beverly is running out of clean clothes.
I don't want to see it either.
Well, fine. So forget I said anything then. We'll try another way to get you some clean clothes or something. But I mean, you're going to get a rash if you don't take off those soaking wet panties.
Oh, I've got a terrible rash. It's awful. I thought you would have seen it when we made love last night.
No, I purposely kept the light off.
Is that because you find me unattractive?
No, I just, sometimes I know that you say you have a lot of sores down there, and so I just didn't want to look at them.
Oh, I think I have a cyst inside my cooter.
Maybe Dr. Xavier should look at
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
why would you tell Dr. Xavier about that? Have him take a...
Are you okay,
Smells,
DG?
dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It is a stench of Beverly.
I think my cyst just popped.
Ew.
Feel something oozing down my leg.
Oh, sorry, dude. Ugh, that's gnarly.
Beverly. Dr. Xavier.
Doctor, we need a doctor.
Dr. Xavier.
Stop gagging. It's not that bad. You're making me insecure.
Don't you smell it?
No.
Oh, well, it must be like when you get used to your own shit smell and you think your own shit smells like roses, but everybody else's shit smells like shit.
Well, I think your shit smells like roses, and in fact, all the goats think your shit smells good too. And your shit doesn't have mad goat disease.
I know, but this doesn't look like shit, Beverly. It's like a red pus. It's not exactly blood, but hang on.
Definitely
Dr. Xavier?
Doctor, what's he doing?
Sorry guys, I just got done performing a colonoscopy on a few dead goats. Hey.
Oh, I didn't know you were a mortician, though.
Oh, I'm not.
You authorized... never mind, you're the doctor. You know more than I do.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything against the rules, now would I?
No. You definitely fixed me, dude. So, listen. Beverly over here, she's got a massive fucking pus in her puss.
Pussy. Oh, okay. Let me take a look at that. Alright.
Be gentle, it's sensitive.
Oh, it's certainly oozing and gushing. Let me see here. I'm gonna try to find the opening.
Oh!
Oh, sorry, Beverly. I know that might hurt.
No, it feels good.
It feels good.
Yeah, I mean, you've been fucking my cyst for a while.
Oh, I didn't know. No wonder you didn't come. As long as it feels good, I mean, I guess a win is a win.
I mean, no. You always make me come, baby.
Sorry to interrupt the love fest, but this cyst is actually quite disgusting and very foul.
Is disgusting the medical term?
No, I guess well, to be honest with you, there's no medical term for something like this. In fact, this looks to be some sort of abnormality on the mad goat disease that's causing you to grow boils.
Boils?
Nah, hold on though. Does that mean everybody who gets mad goat disease is gonna get boils? Because I don't want boils in my ass.
Yeah, there might end up being...
Doctor, check my ass. Check my ass right now for boils.
Check your ass. Okay,
Check it, dude.
DG.
Check it.
Let me get another glove to be safe and secure
Be gentle,
here.
though. Be gentle.
Okay, DG.
Pretty tight. Oh!
Oh, DG.
Oh!
Mmm.
Feeling anything? I like that little curly motion you make with your finger when you do it like that.
A lot of patients have told me they like it.
You think you could put some toilet paper on there and like scrape me from the inside so I'm like perfectly clean?
Well, you know what, DG?
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
DG, you know, way down here in the depths of your bowel, I'm finding not a full-grown boil, but a little sack of pus that's gonna grow into a full-grown boil.
Oh no, dude! Pop it.
Well, I don't quite have the right...
Your whole arm's in there, doctor. What are you supposed to do?
Is it? You're squeezing with all your might. I'm trying, but it...
Oh, it feels like I'm about to shoot her arm out, dude.
The way that the boil is forming deep in the anal cavity, the pressure that I can apply is not enough.
Well, maybe you could take some of those tongs you would use for the grill and put them up there and squeeze them with that.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Some
You guys
tongs.
have any grilling tongs?
You trying to shove grilling tongs up my ass. What's happening to me,
Well-
dude? I thought I was tested negative.
Well, DG, you know, you did test negative, but this is some sort of mutation that we weren't quite expecting. We're gonna have to test some of Beverly's pus, and in the meantime, we'll keep an eye on the one growing from your asshole.
What do you mean in the meantime? No, get it out now.
Well, DG, it's not big enough, and I need it to grow a little bit before I can lance it. None of my tools can reach this far down into your deep...
Do some surgery, dude.
DG, your ass is so deep, dark, tight, and cavernous. None of my tools can get in there.
Enough of this talk of deep, dark asses. You look at my wife now.
Okay, let me see.
Not you, Clark.
What?
No, doctor.
Yeah, write this. Okay, yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, no. Fuck you! Fuck you, Bertram!
Oh my God, Bertram.
you stupid little wanker!
Your wife gained sentiency, Bertram, and she's angry.
Fuck you!
Oh my God, just last week, Bertram.
Not his wife, he's trapped me!
There's enough of that now, love. Enough of that. You will not speak to the doctor.
You son of a bitch, you trapped me, you injected me!
No more hitting. Don't hit anymore, Mrs. Bertram.
my.
Don't hit anymore. All right, now everybody calm down. Calm down.
You
My.
don't... What are you doing to me, doctor?
I'm just giving you a little tranquilizer.
Don't you fucking dare put that in me, love!
It's a little tranquilizer shot. And it's gonna go right into your testicles. I mean, not your testicles, your muscles.
Don't have testes!
I meant your muscles.
Don't-
Here it comes.
Don't-
You're just gonna go right to sleep.
Don't you fucking
Take a nice rest.
Oh, that feels lovely.
Bertram, just last week this girl couldn't say anything but fuck your husband. What's going on?
It's none of your business, Clark.
Well, Bertram, I mean, even I'm perplexed. I mean,
What's there to be perplexed by?
well, it's as if the mad goat disease transformed her into a sentient being like the rest of us. So,
Yeah?
I wonder if...
Have you seen this sort of behavior with any other goats?
No, most of them die. Almost every single one dies instantly. Sorry.
Okay, well, you're not going to let her die. She's my wife, and you will save her.
Well, I'm gonna do everything that I can, Bertram, but I've never seen anything like this.
Well, why don't you read a damn book now?
Well, where are we gonna get the books from, Bertram? You won't allow Amazon deliveries to the island.
Well, that's because Amazon is a predatory capitalist service.
Hang on. Amazon has the ability to deliver here?
Yes, of course Amazon has the ability to deliver here. They'll deliver anywhere with 2 days prime shipping.
Yeah, I guess you're
But
right
we
on
won't
that.
we won't allow it. We won't allow it.
Well, why not? I mean, that would connect you to society, and I mean, we could get...
That's the damn point, Clark!
But
We're not connected to society.
maybe somebody in society would know how to save your wife before she dies of mad goat disease.
Well, maybe the doctor I hired can save her. Doctor?
I'll certainly try, Mr. Bertram, but you know, since she caught...
If you do not save her, so help me God.
Well, Bertram, I'll keep her alive, but I fear that because her personality wasn't yet formed until she got the mad goat disease, I'm afraid she might be stuck this way. Angry, that is, if she does live.
And what makes you say that? Because her personality hasn't formed? She has a personality.
Just last week, she slipped. Not just last week, but just the last time I saw her, she was too stupid to not stop from sucking on Tristan's
You do not
dick.
call my wife stupid.
Sorry, but I mean, she did.
She's not stupid.
She nibbled on Tristan's penis, right? You were there.
Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it.
Well, at least we're on the same page, I mean.
Doctor, I have to ask. All my goats are dying. Can you tell me why and how?
You see, it's interesting, Bertram. We know that it's a viral case, but we haven't quite
Viral, what the fuck
tracked...
do you mean by that? What the fuck do you, like the Harlem Shake?
Yeah, kind of like that. It's a disease that transpires very easily, but we don't know why.
Yes, there was no introduction into the food system that would have caused this. There was nothing that could have been different 3 weeks ago. That's new now.
Well, I can think of one thing that's different.
Uh,
I have a cast of new folk in my colony that I let in graciously, and now my wife is sentient and very well could die.
Yes.
Hard to say this wouldn't have happened before you came now, Clark.
what does this have to do with me?
It has to do everything with you.
Whoa. I think somebody's got the case of the mad goat disease.
Just calm it, dude. What's going on with him?
DG, you are on thin ice. You, Clark.
Whoa. Doctor,
Come with me.
can I bring the doctor for backup?
What kind of backup do you think you need?
It's just you're getting a little hostile. I think maybe you are exhibiting signs of MGD.
I do not have fucking MDG!
Okay. I'll follow you and Dr. Xavier. Will you just wait right outside the door, okay?
Yeah. Sure thing, Clark. I'll keep you safe.
I'm rooting for you, honey.
I love you, Bev. Just in case.
I love you too. Don't talk like that.
So, what is it, Bertram?
I want you gone.
You want me gone?
I want you gone.
Well, the council gave us a indefinite asylum.
There's no council.
What do you mean there's...
The council, let's just say it's me. I want you gone.
You run the council, or...
I don't run the council, but I don't need them. I can run an executive goat order.
But what did we do wrong? I didn't...
You're gonna leave. That's... What you did wrong, what you're doing wrong right now is you're not leaving.
I think
You're killing all the goats.
There's no way you can prove that. I mean, when I clock in on the nursery duty, I don't do anything against the rules. I take care of the goats. The fact that they die on my watch has nothing to do with my quality of work.
You don't do anything against the rule.
No.
You've never lied about the amount of shit you're producing? Nobody in your crew has?
No, it's only the three of us. Why?
Let me give you a little bit of information. You know your friend Tristan?
Yeah?
He's in prison.
What do you mean he's in prison?
We caught him with a stash of cheese that he didn't report. And when we tortured him, he said you knew about it.
He did tell me that he was stashing cheese, and I told him not to, and I thought he gave me all of...
I want you fucking gone. Get off my fucking island.
But we don't have anywhere to go, and not only that, but we don't even know how to get humans off of this island.
Well, you're gonna have to figure it out real soon.
If you say so, Bertram, but I really wish it didn't have to be this way.
Well, I really wish you didn't come and kill all my fucking goats.
I wish that you didn't see it that way, Bertram. I really wish you didn't. Oh my god!
No! Bertram, now calm down.
Oh my.
Oh my god. Clark. I've never seen anything like that from Bertram. Are you okay?
Yo, what happened out here, dude? What happened?
Bertram attacked me. He bit off part of my ear.
Bertram attacked you? Fuck Bertram.
He bit off part of my ear. You saw that, Doctor.
Of course I saw it.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh, Clark! Are you okay?
That's a lot of blood, Clark. Come here, let me get some isopropyl alcohol on that.
Oh, let's get the ear and ice.
Actually, we don't actually have any ice. So we can go,
What do you mean you don't have ice?
we haven't, Goat Island just doesn't have any refrigeration techniques.
Oh my... So, what's happening? Well, he's gushing blood!
It's just I lost a part of my ear, but the doctor can get the blood to stop, right? Blood?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right, Dr. Blood.
yes, I can definitely get the blood to stop. Doctoring. The doctor... Yes, God, you're confusing me. I can get the ear to stop bleeding.
Blood? Get the blood?
Yes. Oh, okay. Let me just stitch this up real quick.
I can't believe that Bertram would attack me.
Well, I mean, clearly he has mad goat disease as well.
What did he say to you, Clark?
Yeah, dude.
Well, he was commending me for a job well done, and for running the... never ever missing anything bad at the plant, and for taking care of all of the goats at the nursery, even the dying ones. He really said a lot of nice things, and then...
Well, but how did that turn into him attacking
Yeah,
you?
dude, he was just really pissed at you, and he went out. I did not expect that conversation to go that way.
Well, it, I don't know. It was like all of a sudden the effects of the mad goat disease kicked in. Like maybe it was laying dormant in him. You know,
Delayed onset.
Yeah, exactly. He was asymptomatic.
Oh, asymptomatic. Yep.
Asymptomatic, that'll do
And
it.
all of a sudden he became symptomatic. Wow. Didn't expect this from Bertram. You know, let me place a messenger pigeon out to the council, and let me take care of this. Clark, you're gonna be
Yeah,
okay,
the council will
right?
take care of this. The council will get him better.
I'll be quite alright. Thank you, Doctor. Beverly.
Yeah?
Hello? I can't hear you. Beverly?
I'll speak in your other
yeah,
ear.
let me hey, baby.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. You're so sweet.
Okay. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm a little worried that I might have told a little white lie.
Yeah?
And
What'd you do?
Bertram,
Hey, what?
well, he,
The council has granted you temporary surveyorship over Goat Island, as a result of your,
Hey, what?
So I told the council...
Bravery, dude.
what are you talking about? What are you...
I told the council all about your situation and how Bertram is temporarily incapacitated due to mad goat disease, and, well, they said, you know, that Clark... that your cheese factory is running the best on one of the best businesses in Goat Island, and
Well, now I'm in charge?
Basically.
My baby's in charge. Let's hope for Bertram not having a good recovery. Because frankly, I don't like the fact that he did that to you, baby.
Well, yes, you're right, but I guess I should say as acting president of Goat Island that of course I wish the best for the former ruler of Goat Island, Bertram, but we'll certainly put him to rest.
Hey, dude, think you could do me a favor?
What?
Well, I mean, I just thought since we were cool now, like you're the president, maybe you could do me a solid.
What are you looking for?
Look, I'm looking for full-time work in the cheese factory, dude. I want to quit my security job.
Oh, yeah, of course, DG. That was part of...
Fuck yeah, dude!
Yeah, let me...
Yeah! Let me call my boss real quick.
Hold on, I'm getting a call. Hello?
Hey, is this Beverly?
Yeah, who's this?
Yeah, this is DG.
Oh.
I just wanted to call and say that I quit.
You what?
I quit.
You guys are standing right next to each other.
So does that mean you're not going to show up for your shift tomorrow?
No, I'm not gonna come, tomorrow or, like, ever.
Beverly, you guys know each other.
Okay, well, I'm going to need a 2-week notice, but I mean, I guess I could you turn in your uniform tomorrow?
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry for the 2-week notice. I just fucking hated this job.
Well, DG, there's no need to be rude to the nursery.
What's being rude?
DG, I'm so glad you're gonna come work at the farm full-time, the cheese factory full-time.
Thank you, dude. Hey, can I have next Tuesday off?
Hello and welcome to MOATAIF. My name is RJ. I'm introducing it this week's episode to y'all. Just wanted to say this is a special episode. This is
Yes,
our
it is.
100th. Nope, it's not 100th.
We've already done that.
This is why I don't do the introductions or any of like the host functions or anything like that because I'm terrible.
Well, it's not. It's just. It is an odd. It's like a weird celebrate. It's like a weird thing that we are celebrating.
Yes, but so we're not celebrating a year of doing MOATAIF. We are celebrating a year of doing the reboot of MOATAIF, but it's not a reboot. It's just us appending episodes. Zach, how many episodes have we had from the year? Well, I guess 52 probably. We haven't really missed a week, have we?
Right. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how many episodes it is, but we revived the episode 64 was posted on August 30th, 2020. And this episode will be posted on August 29th, 2021.
Okay, well, I guess tomorrow would be our year anniversary. Most likely around 52 episodes. It would be really weird if it wasn't that amount, and if it was, then we'd probably have to, like, go back and figure out what the fuck went wrong. But last week, Zach went through his job history, and we alluded in that episode that this week would be my job history. Now, my job history isn't... there's not as much as what was on Zach's, but I've been in the work field for 10 years now. I've been working for 10 years and
15?
15 years?
No, I mean, you were 15 when you got a job then, or you?
Yeah, well, I mean almost 10 years, 16.
Oh, okay, I see.
We're
turning
26 in
this year.
16 days. Yes. So I'm just gonna go right into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My first job I ever had was a classic for anybody's first job, McDonald's. Now, I worked at the McDonald's on East Main Street in Springfield, Ohio, and it's definitely one of the busiest in town. We got dollar McDoubles and shit like that. I worked at that McDonald's for around 3 months. Made a few friends around there. I was an extremely awkward person. And I remember my first day of that job, maybe my second, my cat Smokey died. And he was like my childhood cat. I loved him so much. Like he was my everything. And I was devastated. So I'm at work, like literally holding back tears, like crying. I'm like on the grill, like trying to like figure out how the fuck to work it. Because I'm 16 and working at McDonald's. It's a lot more work than people think it is. And I'm like holding back tears, and I remember my coworker Gilbert, this short little like, I don't know, Spanish man. I don't know what ethnicity he really was, but his name was Gilbert. He had like a, thin mustache. You could kind of picture him. He's like, "Hey, are you okay, man?" And I'm like, no, my cat died. He's like, was it a dude or a girl? And I just, I'm like, what the? That was just some random memory I have from there. I also had a friend there, Dustin. I've been trying to remember his last name, and I feel bad about it. But the young man was accidentally killed himself. His best friend Tim, who also worked there, bought him a gun illegally, and they were driving with it, and he was playing around with it, and it accidentally went off, and it fired in the car while he was driving, and he, had a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Didn't make it. We had a funeral for him, but McDonald's wasn't going to let us go to the funeral. Like, the people who worked there, and like everybody loved him. He was just like really fun person to be around. And we all left in the middle of our shift and just went to the funeral and came back. And we just made the managers do all the work.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that one of the employees died and now all of the employees want to mourn, but there's not a time that McDonald's isn't open for you guys to have gone, for them to schedule a funeral. I mean,
looking back on it now, I see why they couldn't just close down the restaurant, because if they did that, somebody was going to get fired. There's no way corporate of McDonald's is just going to sit there and take that shit.
You're probably right. I mean, I guess if it was an understanding franchise owner, maybe, and they were like, no, you know what? One of our employees accidentally killed them. But no, we live in a capitalistic, hellish nightmare landscape. That would never happen.
Think about how many terrible Google Maps reviews there would be for just that 2 hours that it was closed down. People would be pissed.
And I mean, maybe if, of course I don't want to speak ill of the dead, rest in peace to the young man, but maybe if the young man had killed himself or accidentally died in McDonald's or at work, then maybe the situation would be different. And maybe the McDonald's would shut down for the short period of time for the funeral. But, the line was just long for that time period. Were the managers pissed when you came back, or were they just well, thanks for coming back at least?
They were, understanding. They didn't want to tell us no, I think, but they were just all right, get back to work. I think they were just pissed that they had to, pick up all the slack. But, also a random thing from McDonald's. I made friends with a guy named Josh there, and I hung out with him a few times. And he went on to marry somebody who has been on this channel, Ariel Wilson. Yeah. They're married, right?
Yeah, they're married. Ariel Smith now.
Josh Smith. Yep, that's his name. So fucking random.
Josh Smith, interestingly, I just saw him perform a song. This is so weird. I didn't know he had any musical interest, but...
that's why we hung out, because we would play guitar together.
Oh, I see. Because, of course, I only knew him as the person that married Ariel Wilson.
Right.
And... Ariel Wilson just shared the other night live that they were at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and that Josh sang I'm a creep, I'm a loser at the garage there. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a bar part of it or the cafeteria.
Did it look like a live show?
Yeah, there was somebody playing live guitar and live drum with him singing. And he only sang one song, so I don't know if it was some sort of scheduled open mic night.
Yeah, it could have been.
But yeah, it was honestly pretty cool to see, but I was I had no idea that but that kind of makes sense, because Ariel Wilson, she was in show choir and concert choir and all of that, so she's also musically interested, so compatible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make sense. Fucking so random, though.
I know.
I still have him on Snapchat. Every now and then I'll comment on my story. I don't think he has now for a year or two.
I believe Ariel Wilson still works at Assurant.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, so I feel like none of these stories of where I worked would be complete if I didn't say how I quit.
Oh, absolutely.
McDonald's, I only worked there for about 3 months. The job fucking sucks. They expect way too fucking much of you. It's hot. You always smell. Every time I would go home, everything in that fucking restaurant is beeping. So I would go home and when I'd be trying to fall asleep, I would just hear the beeping in my ear, and it would make me fucking feel crazy. So one day I'm on the table, because at that point I learned how to prepare sandwiches, which is a lot better. But they don't always let you do it, because everybody wants to do it. And I was just done, and I like called over to my manager. I was like, "Hey Ryan, can you come over here?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, man. What's up?" And I'm like, "I'm just done." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was just like, "I'm just not gonna do this anymore." He's like, "You quitting?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so I just took off my gloves and I just went in the back and I told my friend, I was like, "Hey, I just quit." He's like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And I just walked out and left.
You just reached your breaking point out of nowhere.
It wasn't out of nowhere. I mean, I like considered it, and then I went home and I told my parents. I was just like, "I just quit," and they're like, "Yeah, it was probably a shitty job anyway." I'm like, "Okay."
Well, hey, at least they supported you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got in trouble for doing just that.
Yeah, and then I really didn't. I don't know how long the break actually. I think I worked that McDonald's job like maybe my junior year of high school, and then we did the campaign for a while, and I was kind of unemployed. And well, I mowed grass and shit like that. I
Yeah.
mowed lawns. I don't know if we really consider that a job.
I was thinking about it, like when we got started, and you were saying that you had more jobs than you thought. I wondered if you included mowing lawns. 'Cause I
No,
remember that you did
that's
that.
not even included. I just remember that just
Right.
now. But that's how I got money for the most part. I had like 4 or 5 lawns I mowed a week. I made pretty like okay money for a teenager doing it, and it wasn't that bad. But the next actual like legit job I got was when I first started college. I got a job at Pizza Hut on Bechtel Avenue. And at the time, Pizza Hut was located in a little shopping center next to a Subway
Yep.
and a Capital Cleaners. And it was I was going to be a delivery driver, and I was excited. And I really liked the job for a long time. Like, I really didn't mind being a delivery driver. Of course, I hated when people didn't tip me.
Yeah, right.
Lots of cool shit happened to me, though. I remember one of my first week or two, maybe month or two of, like, delivering pizzas. I had this guy. I answered the door, and he's like, "Hey, you want to see my wife's tits?"
Oh God, I remember you.
And I was like, I don't even remember what I said, but he showed me his wife. No, this is what he's like, "Here's your tip," and then he just flashed his wife's tits at me, and I'm like, "Okay, thank you." And I remember like texting you, just being like, "I really wish I would have just gotten a tip."
yeah, I do remember you expressing
She was
that
busty
sentiment.
by all means, but not my type at all. You know, kind of like Springfield skank territory.
Right. Well, and you had more use for like a $5 bill than the fleeting image
Absolutely.
of that woman's breasts.
Right. I you know, at the end of the day, I'll never forget it. It happened
You're right.
on North Light Street.
It was a very memorable moment at the very least, you know. The one
Right. Never,
well,
nothing like that ever happened again.
The one thing that guy did do, he tipped you with a great life story to tell on your podcast.
Yes, he did. Wow, that's sweet. Thank you to that man.
That's what the tip was.
I also had a morbidly obese woman I would frequently deliver to. I mean, this woman was. You delivered to her?
I remember, yeah, because I delivered to her once, and I remember afterwards that we had like discussed that it was the same person.
She was my 600-pound life type shit.
Absolutely.
She could not get up. You knock on her door, she's like, "Come in!" And many times I would deliver to her house sometimes multiple times a day, and she always ordered like 2 pizzas, breadsticks,
Pasta.
big. Oh yeah, she ordered like the big dinner box
Yep.
and shit on top of it, and 2 liters. And I like would carry it in. I know she tipped me, so like I would carry it in and like give her pizzas and like open her 2 liters for her and shit. And one time I even put a movie in the VCR for her.
Oh.
She was disgusting. I'm almost positive she's dead.
That's what I was gonna say too. I feel like we have to dedicate a moment of silence to her, but there it is.
I don't even know her name.
Yeah, I don't either. But there's no doubt she's deceased. But yeah, I remember delivering to her one night as well. I only delivered to her once, but I thought she was very nice, you know, and she was, certainly ashamed of who she was, I think. And
absolutely.
I tried to be very nice to her, you know.
Me too.
I was very, oh yeah, absolutely, I can get that. Because at first there weren't very many instructions on the delivery, I think, because, it was when I started, it was kind of just common knowledge, apparently, that this was this was the my 600-pound life woman. So I knock on the door and she says, "Come in," and I'm like, well, this goes against everything I've ever been taught. I remember Marisa telling us in 2012, never go in the house, never go in the house, never go in the house. I went in the house. And I'm like, ooh, and it's obviously disgusting in there.
You walk in like the kitchen,
mm-hmm. And then
you have to kind of like round the corner into her little hut.
Is.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there she is, like on her bare mattress, that's on like
Yep.
a box spring on the floor, and she has a little dingy TV, and with one of those TVs that, if I'm not mistaken, had the VCR thing attached to the TV, right? Like it was like one of those.
I don't
TVs.
remember that specifically, but it very well could have been.
And yeah, I don't remember putting a VCR in for her, but she was watching movies, and she was excited to have her pizza, and I put it on her little, tray or whatever. So it's interesting that we had, that she was like a common character there.
Yeah, and I think she would only order near the beginning of the month because she almost certainly was on disability.
Oh.
And she would order lots at a time. Lots.
She kind of that kind of reminds me. It randomly pulled a memory out of my mind of a person from Bullskin Diner who lived in Tremont.
Oh, yeah.
And would do the same thing, and he would order at the beginning of the month like 4 deluxe pizzas, and I think he froze them.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
sad.
I think he would freeze them and then like serve them to his family. Maybe every weekend they'd
Man.
have another pizza, but like. That reminded me of that. And he was also, he was at least mobile because he was wheelchair bound, but he was every bit of 300 pounds at least.
Probably more if he's wheelchair bound.
You're right.
Because at my biggest, I was around 350.
Oh.
I wasn't in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
I wasn't
so-
close to being in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But yeah, I remember also there was this one time we had like a legitimate tornado warning in Springfield. It was one of the times where a tornado actually touched down.
Oh, shit.
And I think my uncle has a video of it somewhere. It happened so fucking long ago. But I asked my manager, I was like, well, it's a tornado warning. Elaine was her name. And I was like, Elaine, this is like a tornado warning. Like, are we still going to go out? It's storming like fucking crazy. Winds, like unbelievable winds. And she made me go out. And I remember I called Stephanie, who was my girlfriend at the time, still a good friend, but I called her and I like was pissed because I don't want to be delivering in a fucking tornado.
No.
And she gets pissed and she calls corporate
Oh, shit.
on my manager saying like, look, the manager is making my boyfriend deliver it. Like, never asked her to do it, never wanted her to do it. I was extremely... The next day, my manager confronts me about it.
Oh.
Pissed. Not necessarily at me, but for the rest of the time she was there, I would hear comments about it all the fucking time. Like, is your girlfriend gonna call if I make you do this? Oh my god, I fucking hated it.
Ooh, that's so passive aggressive and awkward.
The same manager that for Christmas didn't know me at all and got me Ohio State coasters. And I'm like,
I love
oh, thanks. Thank you. Little bit of drama happened with that too, because I also, when I first started, had this assistant manager, Nick, who actually got fired because he hated Elaine and he staged a break-in to Pizza Hut. Didn't take anything. Came in the middle of the night, set off the alarm, went in through the back door, just roughed up the store a little bit so that they would come in and see that she was fudging her numbers. Well, the thing is that the district manager knew she was fudging her numbers. Didn't care because it made her numbers look better with like inventory and shit.
Oh.
So this is something we would do every week. Like count the inventory and add on like 30 to each one. If it's not here, add it
serious?
on. Oh yeah, it was ultimate corruption in Pizza Hut.
Well, how did you not like run out of shit when you
We
needed it?
did all the time. We always had to
my
call East.
God.
You know how many trips I made to East Main Pizza Hut to go pick up fucking dough?
Oh my god, that's so
Happened
annoying.
all the time, Zach. He ended up getting fired because they found out he was the one that broke in. They had him on camera.
Did they think they were gonna be like, you know what, Nick, you're vigilant and you are a real like Batman in this case, vigilante. We're gonna actually make you the manager because you proved that our manager was so inept. Like, is that what he wanted? I mean,
maybe. I don't think he thought he was gonna get caught. I think he thought that like corporate was gonna come in. This man was also obviously a flaming homosexual, but like deeply in the closet, I think. But he would always try to say that I was a homosexual. Of course, at Pizza Hut, I denied any sort of gay tendencies, but I worked there for a long time, and then while I'm in college delivering pizzas, it's not that bad. And then one day I get this idea. I asked my manager, I was like, you think I could become like a shift manager? Like, could I do that? And she's like, oh, absolutely. You want to do that? I was like, yeah, can I do it part time? Because I'm like tired of delivering at this point. Like, it's rough on your car. It's like sick of people not tipping me. I'm like, I would love to just stay in this store.
right.
I go through all the manager training. I end up training with this man named Nate, who I think you might have known, Zach.
Yeah, I remember him.
This man was a straight up neo-Nazi.
Oops.
he told me on many occasions, like, how many, like, good ideas Hitler had. He was very kind of straight like this, and he would just come up and have these, like, Hitler really didn't believe what everybody says he believed. Straight up neo-Nazi.
Oh my god.
Very awkward to be around this man.
He was, I never really, like, got to know him that well, but I always kind of thought he looked like, that guy from Fantasy Factory, Rob's cousin, whatever.
I don't know what Rob's cousin looks like, but he really looked like he could know Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah, he was an attractive young man for what he was, but
oh, you thought so? I thought he was nasty.
Let me make this clear. This is an anti-neo-Nazi podcast.
Goes without saying, yeah, it is. No Nazis allowed.
Get on out of here, Nazis.
But I was a terrible manager at Pizza Hut. I did not know how to, like, I was always just nice to, I let people walk all over me. I was the cool manager, I thought, like, to other people. I didn't give a fuck, though. I would frequently, like, if we got too busy and I didn't have enough people scheduled, I'm like, fuck them, and I would turn up the delivery time to, like, 2.5 hours.
I love that.
I would always let people go home with free pizzas. I would make free pizzas for myself all the time. Never stole money from them or anything like that, but I would, get free pizzas a lot.
You actually ended up, when I got my job, like we mentioned last week, you helped me get my job, and then you actually ended up calling me in for my first day of work. Do you remember that?
No, I don't, but it vaguely seems familiar.
I had, like, maybe a whole more week, probably, until my first actual shift, but then you had some really busy, like, whatever it was one of the only days of the week at that point that you had, like, actually managerial duties, I feel like.
Yeah, I think like maybe 2 days a week, like
yeah.
Tuesdays and Sundays or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it felt like a Sunday, and you're like, I really need you to come in. It won't be too bad because, like, there's another driver here, I think. And then I was like, can I even do that? And you're like, well, I mean, I'm a manager, so just come in. I'm like, okay. And it wasn't too bad. It was, honest to God, it was fun as fuck being there with you. It was, like, definitely a precursor to Pretzel Maker, just that one day that we worked together. Because I don't think we worked together probably ever again at Pizza Hut. We didn't cross
I think we
paths
did
too
a little
many
bit,
times.
like, we didn't cross paths that much because usually the days you worked we were busy, or, like, maybe I was a delivery driver too, so we might see each other if we're both picking up a delivery.
Yeah.
Because I did, like, the delivery and the shift manager sometimes or whatever. But so it got to a point I hated it, loathed it. We got that new manager, Matt, who you were talking about. He's a fucking piece of shit gay boy. Not that there's anything wrong with gay boy, fucking asshole. Terrible at scheduling. That's why I hated him, because I always had to turn up the goddamn delivery time. I'm like, how? It's a fucking Friday. We have one driver at 9 o'clock.
Right.
It's a Friday. And so I would have to send drivers out with, like, 4 or 5 deliveries. Anything over 3 is like, no, you can't do that. They would be out for an hour and a half delivering pizzas.
That's ridiculous.
So I'm like, I know they're not going to be back for another hour. It's going to be, you have 3 orders ahead of you. It's going to be 2 hours. He would never fix it. So I'm like, loathed the job. At the same time I'm working at Pizza Hut, I also got my job at Saxon Associate. I'm working these 2 jobs at the same time, right? I'll get into Saxon Associates because that one requires probably a lot more than all the others because I've worked there the longest. But eventually, Dan, my boss, the only other employee at Saxon Associates, actually, tells me, he's like, he basically tells me he can meet my what I'm making at Pizza Hut just so I can come there work full time. Not full time necessarily, but he can match, basically he can up my pay rate a little bit and then up my hours a little bit so it, evens out. So I'm like, okay, so I hated the fucking job, so I go in.
And by this point there's an even newer manager, Heather, because Matt, I don't know
how
he
yes.
quit, but he up and quit, and we got a new big fat manager, Heather, who was just kind of like mean.
I think Heather might have been the manager at like Urbana or some shit like that, and she was coming to help out there or something, but I never really worked with her that much. But this was the Saturday I came in, and I had my managerial duties the next day. And I wasn't going to do it. There was no way in hell I wasn't going to do it once Dan told me that. So I walked in there, and I see Heather there, and this is the first time I met her. And I was like, she's like, hi, like,
I'm remembering. Are you serious?
Oh, Kevin. Yeah, that's the other guy we worked with. Kevin was just the quintessential morning guy. Nobody really ever saw him except for in passing. He always talked like this in the side of his mouth. But he walked in, and I walk in and I meet Heather for the first time. And she's like, "Hi, what can I get for you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually Richard. I'm one of the shift managers here. Like, I don't think we've met each other yet." And I'm obviously nervous. I'm not saying it like I'm saying it now. And she's like, oh, "Okay." She's like, "What brings you in?" And I'm like, "I just wanted to let you know I was quitting." And I have my clothes in my hand because I'm going to return them, like my shirts and shit. Obviously, still kept aprons and all the shit I'm notorious for bringing home.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, "What do you mean? Like, you're not going to come in for your shift?" Very like what happened in the MOATAIF. She's like, "You're not going to come in for your shift tomorrow?" And I'm like, "No." And she just snatches the clothes out of my hand and just walks to the back. And I'm like, feels so awkward. Kevin's standing up there. He's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "I just quit." He's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yep." And then I walked out the door and I walked to my car and cringed so hard. I still kind of cringe at it now. Like, I'm proud that I did it. But it was so awkward how she like ripped the clothes out of my hand. She's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I remember that. I was there that day, and she came into the back and just kind of threw the clothes down, and it was like, "Richard quit." And I remember being like, then I kind of got shit for like the next couple weeks. Not really, like not any real shit, but just like, "Richard's friend, you gonna quit too?" You know, that kind of, the same way you're talking about with like, is your girlfriend gonna call in if I make it? It's kind of like the same sort of energy. Legendary quitting story. We
love it.
We commented that, we quoted that, "Are you serious?"
For
fucking years.
Are you serious?
It was so fucking he was so bewildered by it. "Are you serious?"
This man, like, he like never showed emotion. Like, that was like his most level of emotion. So at the same time or whatever, you know, sometime around like, it was my freshman year of college. It must have been like my I don't know. It was my second semester of college. I go in for a go to see a talk, right, at Wittenberg, and I'm seeing some like computer science talk. And Nancy Sachs approaches me, and she's like, "Oh, my he wants to get a hold of you." So I give Nancy my number, and like Dan calls me and he offers me a job, you know, working with Sachs and Associates. And Zach and I had already been over there and like done some of the stuff with like the Clark County Democratic Party computers or whatever. I don't remember much about me first starting to work there, but basically when I first started, I would do very menial computer installations. Basically, I would, you know, take computers apart. I would put new images on them, install Windows, just setting up all of Dan's computers. Any sort of project he wanted to do, whether it would be for work or anything, I would set up. And it's like hard to go into that much detail about it because I had the job for like 5 years, but it was a really like cool job to have like while I was in school, you know, especially like, because like in school they taught us Python, and I ended up implementing that at Sachs and Associates. It's a programming language, and I did lots of like little cool projects, and like Dan would have me do research a lot. And I really like that aspect of it, where I could just sit down at a computer and just, okay, here's all of what Dan wants, and here's like what I'm going to do. But it was always extremely difficult to meet Dan's extremely high expectations. Frequently on that job, I would cry. I would go to the bathroom and just cry because like Dan had this way of like not being like, he was just very stern about what he wanted. Like, oh, this isn't what I wanted. Redo the entire thing. And sometimes I would spend like hours on like days on something, and I would come to him like in between it to like ask like for guidance, like, am I doing this right? Because like I knew if I were to hand it over to him, he'd be like, "This isn't good." And it like broke my heart every time because I really looked up to him.
Right,
really took care of me.
How soon after you started, when did that start, the crying? Like when you became at least connected enough to him to care that much, like did that start immediately right away, or was that after a couple years?
Probably about a year.
And then through the literally for then like the rest of the time you worked there, it never got better.
No.
Well, if anything, it got worse because like at the same time you were struggling
My life
with
was
your everything
exactly.
else in your life.
Yeah, and I remember like around the probably like a year after I started there, a year or two, something like that. Like I was having like all the trouble in my home life, and like my mom was going crazy, and my mom like literally kicked me out of my house, and like I had to like sleep in my car for a few nights. And I remember just being like so tired of it, and I like finally broke down to Dan because like he could tell something was wrong with me because I kind of hid my emotions at work. But he could, and I just broke down and like told him everything that was happening, and he let me like move in with him for a few months. That was like the first time I lived with him.
Yeah.
And then I think after that, maybe you and no, I moved in with my dad. My dad eventually left my mom, and like I moved in with my dad.
The Quillen Sanctuary.
I continued to do like that sort of work at Dan's. Eventually, it got to the point where I was doing like he wanted to train me in C and C++ because that's what we did. So he had me do Skype lessons with Ben Sachs.
Oh, yeah.
And I had countless hours of C and C++ lessons with Ben Sachs' son, and always really awkward, always like, you know, really awkward interactions with Ben. But, you know, like the thing like I take away from Sachs and Associates the most is just like I got really frustrated because at the end of the day, like for a long time I was doing like tasks that were kind of beneath me, and after a while like I really started to get it, and it felt like any mistake I made was like I had to know about it. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't have just been like this is a typo. Like I knew that if I made one little typo, any error I made. And it was like just at a certain point it was like devastating because to me I'm like, why can't I do anything right? I felt so stupid and you do feel stupid when you're around Dan. But like when I was at school, I was like the person who helped everybody else.
Right.
I would stay after in school and like help everybody finish their coding projects and everything. I really knew what I was doing as much as somebody who is in college for computer science can know what they're doing. Like I'm not like an expert at that point. But when I went to work, it felt like I was a fucking dumbass. And like that really like broke me for a while. Like it's only like in hindsight I could sort of see that. But while I'm working at Sachs and Associates, I ended up quitting Pizza Hut, and not even that long after I get invited to work at Pretzel Maker. And so I go to, and like I'm only working like 3 days of work at Sachs and Associates, like 3 or 4 days out of the week. I go over there after school or maybe before class. And so I'm like, and Bree offers the job at Pretzel Maker, and I'm like, I don't really want another job again, but like, okay, I'll do it. And then I remember I told Dan that like I was gonna work there, and I think he was kind of pissed because he's like, I literally just like let you quit your other job. Why are you doing this? Now you're gonna like complain about this too. Like he was probably really thinking that.
You're probably right.
But, you know, obviously, I worked at Pretzel Maker. I don't feel like there's that much more I can say that hasn't been said about it.
For sure.
Fun as fuck. I loved all the fucking antics at work. Loved rolling the dough. I loved when I finally got the go-ahead to learn how to do that. I loved getting a lot better at it and being as fast as I possibly could, making them bits.
Which is interesting because I really dreaded that part of the training. I was like, I never want to make the bites because I thought that would be the most stressful part of the job. And I think it was, but eventually I grew to like it the same way you are. But it's interesting that you were looking forward to it, and I didn't want to take on that responsibility.
I wanted to do it from the moment I saw people doing it because like I thought it was really cool. I loved watching Whitney do it, how she would like go loop, loop, like almost like 2 little strokes of the hand. Just, whoa, that's cool, Whitney.
You're right.
Love the fucking Blarney Stone pretzel.
Yep.
I thought like that's still a memory that makes me laugh my ass off. Like us making this green pretzel for, was it St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
We made like this fucking green pretzel with Sharpie or something like that. Put it in the case and said it was the Blarney Stone.
We literally baked a rock into it. There was a rock baked into it.
And we put up a sign, didn't we, that said like Blarney Stone? Didn't somebody call corporate over that, or am I remembering it wrong?
I don't remember. I think maybe I do kind of vaguely remember that we did get in trouble for it. I remember Bree came and made us take it down, but
somehow she found out about it. Like maybe somebody messaged the Facebook page or something like that. I don't know. Somehow Bree found out about it. It was mad about it, but like it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I still think about that every year on St. Patrick's Day.
Love getting so pissed off after work and throwing shit off the fucking roof.
Hell
throwing
yeah.
shit on the roof. I mean, taking my drone and like trying to get footage of all the stuff that was on the roof. My little like $30 drone.
And then eventually seeing them bring down bags and bags of trash from the roof when they reinstalled security lights.
We had to take out the old warmer for all the pretzels. This big fucking glass warmer. I love taking that thing out, throwing it in the trash can, and into a
the one that accidentally shattered in the hallway.
Yeah, that too.
That was bad because it literally like didn't even fall that far, maybe 3-4 inches because of how heavy it was. But it shattered into an absolute gajillion pieces.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. Fucking amazing.
It's just like instantly like it was unbelievable.
Now, Pretzel Maker was the first job that I had actually quit legitimately. I gave my 2-week notice because I told them that like as soon as I went back to school I wasn't going to do it anymore. So I think I worked there for about 8 months.
That sounds
if that's right. I started around December for Christmas and the holidays because I was there for the holidays and it sucked. But I remember being like, we hated the job, but like you and I were both kind of just like, oh well, this is kind of sad that we're quitting now.
Yeah, absolutely. Right at the end, we got sentimental about it, but at that time, there was like a whole new staff. Kind of, we were the old dogs going out. You know, it was time.
So at a certain point after that, like I go back to work at Just Sacks and Associates for a while. What year was that? Pretzel Maker, 2015.
Yeah, 2015 to 16.
To 16, yeah. So I go back to working at Sacks and Associates solely for I think 2 more years until I graduated college. And even after that, I graduated college in 2017. And I remember when I graduated college, like Dan gave me a little bit of a raise and said, like, you know, you're a college graduate now, I'll pay you a little more. But he always had the understanding that I was going to go get another job.
Right.
And like after I graduated college, you have to understand, I was extremely fucking depressed. I did not think I was going to be alive for much longer. But I also kind of like had this idea like of like what it was going to be like. I was going to apply to jobs out of state and like move on with my life and get like a programming job.
Right.
And I applied to a lot of different places. And I remember I had an interview at Dan's house.
Oh God.
And I bombed it. Bombed. It was bad. They gave me like a programming exercise and I was so anxious. I was literally like having a panic attack on the thing.
My
like,
God.
I just didn't finish it. And I was like, that's all I'm doing. And I cried and cried and cried and cried.
That's awful.
Really hurt me for years doing that. It hurt my self-esteem for years, that one job interview.
Wow. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was really sad. But eventually 2018 comes around and, you know, I have this, I'm like, well, something's not working. I'm like, depressed as all live in hell. I've obviously been in the psych ward a couple of times by now. I'm like, something's not working. I end up moving to Arizona, which I don't know how much, if we've detailed that on the podcast at all.
I don't think
I didn't work in Arizona. I like was kind of just chilling for a while, like just kind of waiting to get a job, kind of too depressed to get a job.
I get it.
And then I came back and lived with you, Zach. I came back to live with you, Zach, because you like offered for me to live with you for a little bit. And in that time, that's when we started doing DoorDash, which you talked about last time. Like we would at first like kind of go out together. Like you were doing it, I think, a little bit, but you're like, I made some money doing this. Like, okay, let's try it. Let's try to pay the rent.
It was a lot more fun when we did it together, at least, because then it was just kind of like hanging out.
Right. And then, you know, I won't get into actually more detail there. But after DoorDash, I think the next thing I did was got the job at Topre. That, like, I kind of got through you and Dennis.
Right.
I don't know if this is okay to talk about on the podcast, but, you know, we're starting to get all the information filled out for it. At this point, I had my life-changing LSD experience already. I'm feeling a lot better.
Right.
Well, maybe I hadn't.
I think you did. Maybe in the middle of working there, but
it wasn't.
Definitely.
No, the actual life-changing experience happened with what I'm saying. So you and I took acid together. And I remember Dennis called us. We were like in the bathroom laughing our asses off with the lights off. Dennis calls us in the middle of it. You and I are like panicked immediately. Like you and I are just like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And for some reason, like we answered it. And he's like, I'm going to bring over some documents for RJ to fill out. We're like, okay, like this is going to be the biggest acting challenge of our life. That's all it is. Like we've been acting for years. This is it. I remember like really psyching myself up for it. And I'm like awkwardly standing behind you, just staring at the ground. And you're like talking to him. I don't know how you did it. But yeah, I start working there. Maybe like a weekend. Like you only worked a few days a week because you were in school. And
Yeah,
maybe
I worked
like
on
a
the weekends. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a weekend. Dennis quits. And suddenly I'm like full fucking time now. I just take Dennis's shifts.
Right.
And like I think he worked like 6 to 2. Like the first week I worked there pretty much, like he's like, "Can you work 6A to 6P these days?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I worked like a few 12-hour shifts. When I first started there, it was fucking awesome because it was like there was nothing you really had to do. In the morning, we had our ATV that we could go around. Like nobody's there in the morning, so we would just go and fucking go inside the tote bray and just
Hang
explore
out
around.
in the empty, abandoned.
Fucking
You know,
amazing.
it was so cool. And we
Get
would
snacks.
Get snacks. And it was so much fun that first day that you and I worked together that, like, after a while, you would just we would both, like, just kind of hang out there.
Yeah,
with the
because
other
like you would
one,
come in after I would on some days, and I just hang out. Like I'll just hang out with you for the rest of the night.
which is so
And
crazy that
I don't
we
think
would
I had
do
my
that.
car at the time. Yeah, so like I would just be like, "Oh, I'll just hang out to the end of your shift too." Eventually, we got into it a little bit how we quit,
Right.
but I think the only thing we didn't get into last episode was that I called Bob Reed directly, and I
Right.
explained to him like, look, like I was like, I have a college degree, like I really don't have to be doing this. I don't like being treated like shit. Like I'm not stupid. I hate being treated like I'm stupid. And he just laughed at me. He's like, "You should see how they treat janitors."
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
I'm like, fuck this guy. I'm like, like I'm quitting. He's like, okay. And this is like at the end of my shift because this is one of those times I'm hanging out with you.
Mm-hmm.
You decide to quit. We leave. Obviously, we told the story. We leave. The site abandoned. Really bad.
I quit Jacob Crabtree.
I love it. That's one of my favorite quitting stories that like we've ever done.
Absolutely. So good that we got to do it together, too.
Right. And then after that, at a certain point, I went back to working at Saxon Associates. But that was very brief. And then I quit it was when I like went out to Montana. Like I quit there again. And then like when I came back, I had to move back in with my mom. And so I'm in Cleveland now with my mom. I'm like with Abigail at this point, and like I'm like I need to get a job.
Yeah.
And I'm like door dashing and shit in my car. It sucks. Like I'm not making any money. Like I hate Cleveland, the area. It's like always sketchy. And I eventually get on Craigslist one day and I apply for this campaign job. And I'm like, I've worked for a campaign. This would be really fun. Like if this is legit, that would be cool. And like the next day or maybe like an hour or two later, they call me and they're like, "Would you like to come in for an interview like tomorrow or the next day?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I come in and I like laid out all my campaign experience, like what we did, like met the president. And they're like, "Wow, that's really impressive. Like, yeah, we'd absolutely love to have you on the team." It's like $20 an hour too.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, fucking great. Like it's only gonna go on for as long as the campaign goes on, but like it's happening. And it's for like this campaign. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was called. I still have something in my memory box from it. But it was something like Green Fuels Ohio or something like that. So I'm like, I'm doing good things. And it was all about trying to counteract this like initiative for like some nuclear power plant or some shit like that.
Okay.
But my job, I was legitimately a fucking spy.
Yeah, I remember you.
I was a spy. What they wanted us to do was to drive. They would get us rental cars. We would go with 2 people at once. They would get us rental cars, and we would drive around Cleveland everywhere. We'd have scheduled shifts. Like, this is where you're going to drive around. These are all the spots you're going to hit. And if you hit them before your shift's over, hit them again.
Okay.
Keep circling back around. If you see any canvassers outside, call us immediately. When you call us, we will give you detailed instructions on what to do, right? When we found canvassers, we would call them. They say, "Okay, put on your spy glasses." Not even fucking kidding. We had glasses with the fucking cameras in them that we had to put in.
Did they legitimately say, "Put on your spy glasses"?
Zach, I'm sure I could go find the document and go find it for you because it legitimately says it.
Oh my god.
So we would go in and our job was to go talk to them and get information from them. Like, who do you work for? And we would be like interested, like, "Oh, I'm actually like looking for a job actually. Like, what are you guys paying?
Okay.
Like, how do I apply? Where are you playing? Who's your manager? Can I have their number?" And so we would want to get all of their managers' detailed information so we could give it to the higher ups.
That's so sneaky.
Sneaky as fuck, dude.
And what? So they could recruit them?
I don't know exactly. I think we were trying to get dirt on them.
Okay.
We were trying to figure out like what they were doing and like so we could get our bill passed. The job, you know, it was awesome that I got paid that much for it, but oh my god, it sucked. There were some people I got in the car with, we hit it off. We were friends for like the whole time I worked there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long I worked there, maybe a couple months, maybe not even that. I remember this one bitch I worked with, like she's like, I'm gonna go get me my Obama phone. And then literally in the middle of doing our job, stops at like this like little like hut that they set up for like a phones or whatever, signs up for a new Obama phone so that she can then go sell it for $20 after she gets off work.
I remember you telling me that. That is so wild.
During lunchtime, she brings me to her house, leaves me outside in her car in this bad neighborhood for like 45 minutes while she goes eats her lunch inside. And I'm like so stressed out the whole time, and I'm like trying not to vape in the cars because they told us we can't, but I'm vaping in the car. I don't even give a fuck at this point because I'm like, this bitch is going getting her free Obama phone. Right. I remember at one point I didn't even know they did this, but like she had like went to this like weird, not weird, but like this sketchy fucking like convenience store, and she bought one cigarette for like 25 cents. Like she found a quarter. She's like, oh, I'm gonna go get me a cigarette.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude, it was
selling
fucking
loose
weird.
Cigarettes. Eric Garner.
Yeah.
Hands up, can't breathe.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But in the middle of all that, you know, like obviously the drama does not escape my life as much as I would want it to. But in the middle of this, I find out my mom has a pretty bad coke problem, and she's still drinking, which she said she wasn't. And Abigail was up with me one night and visiting me because we had like just started dating a few months before that. And she was up visiting, and my mom went fucking ballistic crazy, and like I had to get out of there. So I end up like going down to Columbus with and staying with Abigail for a while. But like for like a week or two after that, like I'm still commuting to Cleveland from Columbus for this job.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, and I remember at the time I had a spare tire on my car, so I had to take the back roads.
And it's like 90 miles, right?
Yeah, it was like a 4-hour drive on the back roads.
Oh my god.
It's like every day I had a 4-hour commute, and eventually what ends up happening is I get stuck with this bitch again, and she tells on me for vaping.
Are you kidding me?
She totaled me for vaping after all the shit that she did, and I got fired. Because I had called off one day too.
That's how that ended?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm glad it did. Like I like my dad instilled in me this like thing, like if you don't have a job, like you need to have a job and like be a provider. So I'm like, I've like hated myself after that. That was the first job I ever got fired from.
Didn't it somehow have like backwards ties? Like you found out like the initiative was.
I did find that out because it turns out it was a Republican initiative that they were disguising as like a liberal initiative to try to get liberal people to work for them, because we found out, like me and one of the other guys who worked there were like, this is weird that they're doing this. Everybody thought it was bizarre that they were paying us this much and this is what we're doing. So we find out that like it's actually Republican funded, and we're like, fuck this. And so we stopped taking it seriously a lot after that too. I even got my name on the wall a couple times because I like actually, because I had like gotten really good footage and everything.
God. So they had an actual office with a wall is surprising to me.
They had a legitimate office in downtown Cleveland.
Wow.
Yeah, like I would go to work in downtown.
The other thing I was thinking of is I'm like at your interview and they're like, and he met the president. They're like, okay, this chump is perfect for this job. Right. I mean,
right. I think everybody who was involved with that was a chump though.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm not saying that you're the only chump that fell for it, but it's just like wild.
I think even the higher
exists.
ups were chumps.
That is crazy. Crazy and backward. And the other question I was going to ask, what cycle was this? Was this after the 2016 election?
Absolutely. Yeah, this was in 2019.
Oh, so it was like almost was it gearing up for the 2020 election?
I don't know. I think it was some special election that was being held.
Gotcha.
I really don't know. It was just a Cleveland thing, like a Cuyahoga County thing.
Gotcha. Still pretty creepy. I don't like that.
It was weird. Yeah, it was really weird.
Because if they're doing that, like imagine what the other, the more funded parties are doing.
Exactly, right. So after I get done with there, I like live with Abigail for a little bit, and I'm like door dashing then too. DoorDash has always been my crutch. I really shout out to DoorDash. I've DoorDash so much in like times of emergency. It's always come in handy.
Use code MOATAIF to get 10% off your DoorDash.
I really like the service and what it does. Abigail still does it full time.
Oh wow, good for her.
Yeah, she still does it. But I ended up getting a job at Pet Palace through Morgan and Brittany, who work there. Mainly Morgan, who are now my roommates because I move in with Abigail's like college friends.
Right.
And they're like, they're college girls, you know. They're immature college girls stuck in high school, lots of drama. I'm not going to get into that. That could be a whole fucking episode in and of itself.
Right.
But I ended up working at Pet Palace, and the job is a lot of fucking work. But it's really cool that I get to hang out with the dogs, but really not enjoying it immensely at all. And I think at this point you and I had reconnected, Zach.
We did, yeah.
And like you knew me while I was working at Pet Palace. And this overlaps with when you were working at Pepsi, because we were kind of like both doing the same thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But with Pet Palace, I had a really bad infected wisdom tooth.
Ooh, yeah.
Really bad. One of the most painful things that's ever happened to me. And I had to take like 3 days off around Christmas, which they were pissed about, but I'm like, I'm literally like completely suffering. And they told me that if I caught off one more time, then I was gonna get fired. And I said, well, then I just you go ahead and fire me then, because I'm calling off. So that's another job I got fired from. 2019, not a good year for keeping my jobs.
And I mean, what? So you just like you cleaned out the kennels? Was that the main part of the job? Like, how much of it was like playing with the dogs?
A lot of the job was like when we first came in. It depends on what shift you worked. A lot of the job was taking the dogs out, because at any point, like, you would be assigned 30 dogs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could vary. Like, if we weren't very busy, you might only have like 6 or 7. Mainly, it was like 20 to 30. And so we would, like, in the mornings, like, we had like this whole procedure. We would start taking the dogs out. You take one dog out. You take 4 dogs out at a time, and then you start cycling them. Once you got the 4th dog out, you brought the first dog in, brought out another dog.
Oh, I see.
Then you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you start to, like, go through there. So each dog gets about 5-6 minutes.
Oh.
And some of the dogs are big and, like, heavy, and they'll pull you, and they're fucking assholes. And then we had either one-on-one playtime or play groups. So you'd get assigned, like, we'd have, like, a long list of dogs. Like, these are the dogs that need one-on-one playtime. And we'd have 15 minutes where we would just go into, like, a little cage area and play with them. Most of the people didn't play with the dogs or interact with them at all. They would just text or talk to their friends there or whatever. But I always played with the dogs because I felt bad for them being there.
Right. That's so sad.
Nobody there liked the small dogs, which I found interesting. Like, they were all, like, I don't know what it is about, like, not going to say it's bestiality, but it could be. But, like, there's something about, like, small, petite girls that love a big, fucking muscly dog, and that's all they liked. And it just always felt creepy to me. Like, oh, I love Chief.
Oh my God.
Chief was actually the name of a dog who was notorious there, and they would always give them to, like, the people they didn't like or the new people, because he would literally, for the entire one-on-one playtime, hump your leg.
Oh my God.
And he was a big fucking pit bull. You couldn't stop him. You legitimately could not stop this guy. So I just sit there and let him hump my leg.
Have fun, Chief.
And oh, you got Chief. Yep. Or, like, even if you tried to play with him, like, oh my God, he was the worst. And I would always put, like, because we had to take detailed notes of everything we did with the dogs, I would always put on Chief's things like, Chief had a really good time with me during playtime, and I put, like, winky faces.
Oh my God.
Because we couldn't put anything inappropriate. But, like, I tried to, like, allude to it.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I mean, and then we would have to clean out all their cages if they made a piss at any point in the night. But, like, the closing shift was always the worst because you had to, like, take all of their beds out, take the dogs out, put them in another part of the cage, clean it all out with, like, water and soap and scrub. This is, like, for, like, 30 cages of yours. Everybody was always pissed if you took too long because that meant either they would have to help you or they wouldn't get out on time. So it was always just a rush. And, like, I was doing tons of walking during that job because, like, I got to walk this dog over here. I got to do this. So much labor for $9 an hour.
$9. Oh, my God.
Maybe $9.50. Criminal what I was getting paid there.
That is pretty criminal.
Horrible. So I didn't care that I quit. After that, like, maybe, like, a month passes. I'm desperately looking for a job. I'm, like, really wanting to get a job that's, like, in computers again because I had like thought at a certain point I didn't want to do that anymore because I was so disillusioned with working with Dan because I felt like an idiot. I didn't think I knew what I was doing. So I end up in desperation going to Adecco, the temp agency, and I applied for a job doing call support. And they didn't say this on the job posting, but when I got in there, the first question they asked, do you have call support experience? I said no. They said, well, if you don't have at least 6 months, you're not qualified.
Oh.
Okay, thanks. So I didn't even know this was a job I could do either. But at the time, Stephanie was with this guy, Jesse, and he opened up a restaurant recently, Stoney's Munchie Bar in Dayton. So like on like weekends or whatever, just for days at a time where they needed me, I would go and work at Stoney's and be a waiter there.
Forgot about
which was
that.
weird. I was a terrible waiter too. Like I don't have I can focus on one thing at a time. I can't no, that's hard work. I would always get yelled at. Like I would cry at that job too.
Oh my God.
Like I would cry, like I would just felt worthless. But then I end up getting a call while I'm over there one time, like doing their thing to interview for this job at a place called Serve You Success. And what they told me is that I would be working out of Myers, just stocking the chips. I'm like, that sounds fucking great. And it's like $13 an hour. I'm like, that's fucking $4 an hour more than I'm making, and I'm just putting chips on the shelf. Okay.
Right.
So I, go in for my interview. It's really not an interview. It's just sort of like, okay, we'll just come in tomorrow. This is what you wear. I'm like, okay. End up working with this guy, Ross. I'm working at the Meyer on Hilliard Rome Road in Columbus, if anybody wants to, I guess, know exactly where I work. End up working with this guy named Ross, and turns out we're doing much more than the chip aisle. We're a full-on merchandiser for Meyer. We do about 60% of what Meyer actually puts on the shelf. Meyer has about 10 times the amount of employees we do, but we do about 60% of the stuff in the grocery department. So, but it's not bad at all. Like, it's really, like, you're stocking shelves. It's not hard. But, like, I ended up working with this guy named Ross, and he's, like, a fucking clown. It's fucking hilarious working with him. And we, like, kind of became buddies, like, really quick. And, him and I, like, he's really what made that job for me, because him and I would fuck off so much. Like, he was the he reminded me a lot of you in this, Zach, but he was the ultimate sort of, like, let's do this the half-ass way.
Oh, right.
And, like, chill. So, like, we got it to a point, where we knew what our manager was doing at any given time and when he was doing it. And our manager was a fucking pushover. His name was Brandon. And he's just like, hey guys, could you do this? Like, okay. Total pushover. So whenever he would go on lunch, we would stop working about 15 minutes before that. Cause he would never come to find, he would just text us and be like, I'm going to lunch. Be like, okay, you're going to lunch. We're going out right now. Then 5 minutes before he was done going to lunch, we would text him and say, we're going to lunch. So in this way, we were able to extend our lunch by a half hour, pretty much. Yeah. Like, almost get it to it. So we'd be sitting out in the car the entire time. And we did this so much. And on, like, Thursdays, it was me and Ross working, but he was gone. We left at, like, 11 or 12 every single time that happened. And every time he would come in and be like, you guys didn't get a lot done yesterday? We're like, nah, they had us do this. Like, that was bullshit. He never caught on. He never confronted us at all. It's fucking hilarious. At a certain point, Ross started door dashing in the middle of working. Like, we would take these like long hour-and-a-half lunches, and he would like door dash during them. It's like he's making buku bucks doing it too, because he's like fitting work into all aspects of it.
That's crazy.
Fucking really good times I had there. It was fucking really fun.
And you were originally only going to be working there literally temporarily while somebody was out for an injury, right?
That's true. Yeah. This guy named Shane, he was out, and everybody talked about Shane. They're like, you haven't met Shane yet, have you? I'm like, no, that's actually who I'm like here for. So I don't kind of want to meet him because once he comes back, I'm gone. But I was a good employee, so they wanted to keep me on. So Brandon kept telling me forever, like, oh, we're gonna get you hired on. We're gonna get you hired on. Like,
that's what they all say.
We're gonna get you hired on, just talking to this. And I would ask him for like updates all the time, and like Shane ended up taking forever because I found out that he was faking it so that he could get more time off work. Good. Shane ends up coming back. He's fucking hilarious too. Like, him and Ross together are like the ultimate sort of like clown group, which I've like noticed about myself. I always like to like surround myself with like the clowns.
Absolutely.
Because it's like good energy, because it's like I'm not one to like go out and be loud or like do things like that, but I'm there to make them laugh and sort of egg them on. So like they're doing shit to make me laugh, and I fucking think it's hilarious. Shane is like this 50-year-old dude who has a mohawk. He's fucking hilarious.
Oh my God.
Him and I a few times smoked weed like on our breaks or whatever. Be like, come on, let's go around the block. I'd smoke weed in his car with him. Like,
That's awesome.
eventually, though, all good things come to an end. I get transferred over to Westerville, Meyer, where it's the snooty part of town. It's like the nicest place in Columbus, I think, by the Polaris Mall.
Yep.
I end up working there with Craig, who sometimes worked at Hilliard Drum Road, and my manager, Dean, guy named Patrick. Patrick was just kind of a square. Craig is still my friend to this day. We talk all the time. He's an older black guy. He calls me all the time. Just be like, Richard, you're my boy. Listen, I got a tech question for you. Or like, we gotta get lunch. He would just like, we would have really deep conversations. That's where I really started to hate the job. I also met Robert, another friend I made through there. We still text. But this is the point where I really started to hate the job, because it's the same goddamn thing every fucking day. And it started to break my body. Like, because I was getting on my knees all the time. I was one of the only people who would actually get on my knees to put things on the bottom shelf. And it got to a point where I was just so fucking done with it. And I know, like, my manager at some point after, like, I had been there for like a year and a half. And we're really catching up to modern time, because it's
pretty recent.
Earlier this year.
Yeah.
Probably around April. My manager asked me to start working night shifts, like working like 6 to 2 in the morning or something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. But at the same time, I end up getting this contracting gig, because I'm like applying for computer jobs because I'm tired of this. And I finally get a break on a computer job setting up tech equipment for kids who are going to take their standardized testing, kids who are doing online school but actually have to come into the classroom for standardized testing. And this job is in Cambridge, Ohio, which I have to drive an hour and a half for 3 times a week to and from. Loved that job because that was fucking awesome. I would just go set up the computers. It would take me like maybe 30 minutes to set them up. I think on Mondays I just had to stay the entire time and make sure the testing went okay.
Right.
Nothing ever went wrong. Never had a situation where anything went wrong.
We had standardized testing that would happen like that at the HBC when I was working work study for Clark State. So every time that you did that, I went up there. I was always weirdly reminiscent of the HBC every time. Because
because it was a real conference center.
Right.
The same sort of. I was like, oh, I didn't know this is like what you were doing. Yeah. They would have events there, like kids' birthday parties, weddings. One of the last times, like this was only like I think like a 2-month contract I had. One of the last times I worked there, they were having a court case. Oh. Like they brought the court down there. Yeah, it was weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah, I was hoping I would be able to like spy in on them, but that job was cool because even the days I had to spend there, I would just read or just play on my computer, play my game.
That's what I loved about the HBC too. It's just like once I get my tasks done, like for instance, like I would have been the person that set up all of the conference tables and chairs in the room that then you went in and put a computer in front of.
That's easy too. Like they had nothing to do there.
Yeah.
But while I'm working there, like one day, I'm like, I just applied for like 10 jobs, and I end up, because I now have this tech job on my resume, people are calling me left and fucking right, dude. I end up getting 3 interviews scheduled within like 2 or 3 days after that one day I worked there and applied for jobs.
That's awesome.
And I only had like 2 or 3 shifts left of that one too. And I get a call from this place doing tech support for people who work in, I want to say Lane Bryant. And they call me and I'm like, okay, I can definitely do that. Hell yeah. I schedule an interview with them. Like they're like, oh yeah, like your resume is really impressive. Like we like all this. Like you're perfect for it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I end up getting a call from the Airbus who wants me to do basically the same thing except for and then I got a call from some other random place. I didn't end up working there. Who knows what it was.
Right.
I end up having my interview with the place that does like Lane Bryant. I killed the interview because at this point I knew how to interview. And like I was just myself, and really like I was just doing really good. I had a lot more confidence because that's what Servue gave me was confidence because I was good at my job, interacted with people all day. I really grew like the sense of like I can go to work every day and like not hate myself during it. Although some days I definitely during the end I hated it. I loathed going in.
Hey, it happens.
But I survived it for a year and a half doing like stupid shit. And I like moved out on my own, had my own apartment, had my own things. So I'm like, hell yeah, like these tech jobs pay more. They like obviously are interested in me. And then I have my interview for Airbus, and like I loved the interview. Like the people were really cool. Like the work culture they described to me was awesome. And I remember being so nervous after it because I'm like, I really want that job.
Right.
I really, really, really hope I get this. And the contractor who called me, and because they're the ones who actually like set it up with me, the lady told me, she's like, you were like exactly what they're looking for. Like I've been doing this for like 20 years. She's like, your resume is really impressive. Like I'm sure, like you sound great on the phone. Like I'm sure you're gonna kill it. Good. She's like, if you don't get this job, she said something like, I'll eat my shoe or something like that.
Wow.
And I'm like, she's like really hyping me up. I'm like, okay. So like I remember she told me like at a certain point she would call me around like 5 or 6 the day I had the interview and let me know like what they said, if I got it or not. And I remember it got to like 6. No, it got to like 5:30. And she told me to call her at 5, and I'm like, I still haven't heard anything. I'm about to go into work at Servview, hating it because I'm doing the night shift and I'm working with this fucking dickhead. Fucking dick. And I called her and I was like, she's like, I'm on a meeting right now. I can't really say much, but all I'm going to say is I'm not going to have to eat my shoe. I'm like, what? She's like, you know what that means?
Oh, God.
You got it. I'm like, oh, my God. I literally had to pull over and cry. I was so relieved.
That's such a blessing.
So relieved. Put in my 2 weeks at Servview, quit that fucking job. Now here I am at Airbus. Represent. Girl, get off my facts and lyrical serial husness. Fuck yeah, I love the job.
Use code MOATAIF for 10% off your favorite Airbus materials.
I wish. I want to go into more detail about Airbus. Probably not a good idea while I work here, especially because I just named the company verbatim for what it was.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
What I'm doing there. Maybe we should censor that.
Sure.
Okay, you don't know where I'm working now. Sorry. I still work there. I don't want to get in trouble for this podcast because I really like the job. But that's my work experience.
I'm blessed to hear it. It's interesting that it's just as vibrant and
it is, yeah,
just as full of trials and tribulations, quittings, firings.
Absolutely.
2 weeks notices.
It took Servview for me to really get my shit together and like learn how to like. I mean, I worked at Saxon Associates a total like 5 years, but for me to actually like have a job, really like it, like be good at it,
Yeah.
like
Well,
show up every day for it.
And Sax was kind of lax because it was like a house and you could take naps and you could go.
Oh yeah, I did that all the time.
Jerk
at
off in the
Saxon
bathroom. I mean, I did that at every job I worked for too. So I mean,
I don't think I ever jerked off at Servview. Definitely did it at other jobs. Probably Topre at some point. Actually, I know I did at Topre. Not in the porta potty, but inside the actual bathroom.
yeah, for sure. Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah. What can you do?
Absolutely.
Well, folks, thank you, Mr. Quillen, for sharing your work history after that long-winded work history of mine last week. Folks, an addendum to last week, as of this recording, in 2 days, I will be doing my first substitute teaching job. So send some good vibes my way. Of course, by the time this comes out, I'm hoping that I'm a well-seasoned substitute teacher and that I can say that I'm more comfortable in the role. Because right now, folks, gotta tell you, I'm a little anxious. But folks, a job's a job. If anything we've learned, a job is a job, and it doesn't necessarily define who you are. But it does take up a considerable amount of your time. So if you can find a job that you like, that's a good one. But don't ever let any sort of job stop you from being happy. The second you're miserable, leave it. Who gives a fuck about a job?
Yep.
Now, if it's a career
Do something
move,
about it.
do it a little nicer. Put in your 2 week notice.
You're right.
But if it's McDonald's, walk out.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
Until next time, folks. Next week, we're going to have a special Survivor MOATAIF Redemption Island. So until then, stay moat.